This is the Spiritual Genius Show, the #1 podcast for unlocking more of your spiritual genius so you can really have it all. Get ready to discover timeless strategies and secrets you can use. You'll also hear from world-class entrepreneurs, leaders, athletes, and celebrities sharing how they've tapped into their spiritual genius, along with how you can do the same. Without further ado, here's your host, Yaakov Smart.
Welcome to today's show. Today's guest is Satyen Raja. In case you don't know Satyen, he is a world-renowned teacher, mentor, and guide who has been deemed the CEO Oracle for his extraordinary ability to move companies beyond the old business model of struggle into a new paradigm of passion, purpose, freedom, and the magic of flow. He's been at this for a while. He's been building and scaling business for over 30 years. He's founded a plethora of different companies and launched them into the apex of success. And his transcendent leadership programs feature coaching, private mentorship, group trainings, intensives, retreats, spiritual adventure tours, all sorts of great things that bring CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs into a deeper work-life balance, self-realization, and most importantly, illumination of their soul's mission and purpose. Satyen, what an honor to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Yaakov. Very, very kind of you to invite me.
There is so much that we can talk about. Let's start talking about this idea, because I'll give a little bit of backstory for people that don't know. Satyen and I, we met at a Fred Dotson event probably a couple of years ago now. And he was one of the most genuine, present people there, really I'll actually share the story the first night because I just remember that. So we were gathering the crowd. We were all going to go to dinner, and Satyen and I kind of found a way to rally the troops and get everyone on board to go to the same restaurant. It was very interesting. It was like a co-leadership experience. So that's the first experience we shared. And then after the event, you did something which I think is amazing from both an entrepreneur business standpoint and also from a relationship building standpoint. You sent me a couple of your books. And these aren't just books. These books are like works of art. They're very much in depth. They're thorough. They're also well decorated. So I remember getting the box and being like, wow, this is more than just a book. So one of those books talks about this idea of the WarriorSage, right? And I want to start there today. So what does this concept of a WarriorSage, what does that mean to you?
I started learning Shaolin Kung Fu as a boy at 12 years old, and I had very powerful mentors, beautiful mentors, very good men who initiated me on this path of the WarriorSage. And the WarriorSage, the warrior to me represents the one who stands strong in principle, stands grounded in integrity, has a higher meaning and higher purpose. They use their strength, their capacities, their nobility to serve, not just for gain. And then the sage is that within us, which is tapped into universal wisdom, the deepest wisdom that lies at the core of our being. And when we have warriorship, which is the active action, masculine, if you will, and the sage, which is the feminine, the receptive, the attunement, these two make a very potent combination for us as entrepreneurs, leaders, way beyond just martial arts, but as an art and as a skill and as a way of life. So I believe that's within all of us, you, me, and all of us. Just needs to be opened, untapped, and activated.
Yeah, it's such a great reminder. And when you were coming up through martial arts across your spiritual journey, is there one that you feel like you naturally had more of a predisposition to?
My natural predisposition was more to the sage, the wisdom teachings, spiritual elevation, self-realization, the path of enlightenment. And what I've learned from my teachers was you need to embody this. You need to ground this. I was not in my body at all. I was very thin, meek, very wafy, and very ascending in my nature. So I had to work very, very hard and continue to practice grounding myself into that warrior ethos and energy, because if I didn't, I'd be all over the place. I'd be probably a new age flighting balloon somewhere. And so that warriorship gives me the legs, the grounding to be not only an entrepreneur, it allows me to be a better man for my wife, a husband, allows me to be a better father, so that I'm grounded and I'm active and a better leader. So I believe these two elements are, as we say, the yin and the yang within us. So that's my propensity.
It's really relatable to me too. I find myself, my natural predisposition is more of that sage, kind of a little airy fairy, loving the wisdom. I think that warriorship is necessary. And I'll share a story. I mean, I used to be very almost against the whole warriorship. Like there, especially a lot of like men's spirituality talk about warriors and being tough and being, kind of a badass, right? I think all of those things are cool, but I think there's an extreme. I actually still feel this way, especially for men talking about spirituality in business. I feel like for me anyway, if I'm in like a lower energy, it's very natural for me to want to like take massive action and power through. And instead of stopping to ground myself a little bit, I've gotten a little bit better at that over the years, of course. So, what's something, because I know our listeners are probably more predisposed towards wanting to learn and a little more intellectual as well as entrepreneurs. What's one of your favorite practices for grounding more into that warrior energy?
Well, you shared about this extreme of the warrior energy, and I'm with you on there. I share that value and understanding. For me, the old stage man, old stage leader, is a lot of spine, strong spine, strong strength, overcome any challenge, sometimes excess bravado. Tends to have a lack of vulnerability, a lack of presence, and very single pointed like a bull, if you will. And many times that warrior can grow into just an egoic, bombastic version of ourself, not our highest self. And so for me, the old school man is a lot of spine, previous generations, but less heart. And then we moved in our society, starting in the 60s and such, where the understanding of being more open, more in touch with our feminine nature, more in touch with receptivity, more in touch with nature and deeper meaning, and not always just going for something, but enjoying the moment, the flow, the gifts of life. And so there was a movement from strong spine and less heart to wide, much more open heart, but then the spine started diminishing. The spine meaning our strength, our potency in the world, how we enter the world with our penetration from spirit. So for me, now the us and what we're sharing and what we're about, what I see in you is the warrior and the sage, the heart and the spine. When we have a strong spine, strong purpose, strong values, strong mission, grounded in our core, our being, what we're really here to do, our dharma, as they call it in the East, our soul's calling. And we have an open heart, we're receptive, we're attuning, then I think this makes for a much more balanced, whole, integral warrior and sage with heart and spine. So that's my, not only a philosophy, it's a cultivation. And there's no, warriors and sages know there is no end game. There's a continuous cultivation of yourself. It's a way of being to continue to find out, how can I be the best version of myself today, the next day, and to be the most, how can I say, aligned expression of the truth that we live.
Yeah, it's having both of those. I love what you said too about the two extremes, right? It's so ironic that like we were on this one, the spine leaders, and then the spineless leader.
Yes.
It's firing both the spine and the heart. I think with entrepreneurship, it's such a spiritual practice. We talk about this on the show, building businesses, hiring team, marketing, sales, all these different things. When you look at the warrior and the sage, do you look at certain activities in a business as belonging more so in one category or the other?
I believe that the external reality that we generate and create is based on the internal state of our being. So there is no separation. It's a mirror reality, is my experience. And so if internally I'm confused, I have all types of aberration, I have all types of interference patterns, self-esteem challenges, feelings of lack, feelings of internal stress, overwhelm, exhaustion, and all the pitfalls that happen on the journey of entrepreneurship. This manifests externally. It shows up. It's a mirror reality. When you smile in the mirror, it smiles. If you're putting on a stressful face, the mirror responds accordingly. So I don't believe there's a separation, but the entrepreneur's path, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My father's side are all entrepreneurs. My mother's side are all healers, helpers. more Gandhian in philosophy. And my father's side are traditional businessmen going back generations. And I had to find where's the harmony, the yin and yang, the flow between all of these. So I believe as an entrepreneur, the external focuses of action, orientation, follow through, aims, goals, achievements, reflecting back and taking a look at all of that, going again for higher goals, pushing through barriers. This is the warrior. The sage is taking the breath to feel, to attune, and to investigate what is the state of nature, what is the state of the human dynamics in my organization. And I work with many companies, and the number one thing I found that adds to the success of blows up a company in a very powerful way is the quality and the synergy of the human dimension, of the human dynamics in an organization. And many times we miss that. We go into strategy, we go into execution, and we miss what is the nature of how just the team is relating, the executive team, the whole team. How are they getting along? Do they have deep affinity? Do they have deep trust? Is there gamemanship going on? Is there siloing going on? Is there competition that's unhealthy, meaning we're trying to knock one down as we rise up, or taking advantage of someone's skill set and claiming it as our own? There's many manifestations of this. So for me, it's really valuable to foremost, at the core, whatever offerings we have, services, products, that what is the nature of the dynamics of my team? This is the sagely wisdom element. Now, those companies who recognize this, they know that culture eats strategy. We've heard of that saying many ways, many times. And so the focus on culture is the sage aspect. When you've got that dialed in, tuned in, when you've got people harmonizing in the highest potency, then what happens is everyone's brilliance and their potency is rowing in the same direction. They're not all over the place. They're not this inner competition that holds them back. They're all aligned for a purpose and the intention and the mission and the vision. So it's all related, and it's a sing-song. Culture, human dynamics, strategy, execution. You look at that back, and then it continues to be like a mirror and an infinity symbol.
With human dynamics, are you talking about the way people relate to each other?
Yes, absolutely. What's the degree of our affinity together, our trust, our care, our camaraderie, our one for all for one, the three musketeers type energy? Where are we at that? Is it at a 1, 2, 3? Is it at a 10? Where is it? And to truly have a subjective internal view and to check in with our team. What is the state? Where are the couples? Where is the strifes? Where are the tensions? Where are the hidden, buried, and suppressed emotions that are in the organization that are hampering in, at times, if they're building up, they will destruct a company. They'll destroy a company. And so addressing those, having the humility, and then slowing down and reprioritizing how we run our businesses to take into account that the core of business is run by humans. This, at least for now, all right? At least for now. And that the core of all our businesses, personal business at home, our families, our relationships, the core of our thriving businesses is all based on the nature of how we're relating with each other. And so, we've crafted a very powerful training called the Executive Black Belt that we infuse into organizations to release the highest human dynamics and potentiality of each and every member, from CEO, founder, all the way down to the cleaners in the organization. And when we do that, it is like, it's hard to imagine what happens, but it's like a miracle gets lit on fire, because now everyone, their heart, their soul, their mind is involved. And they're here not just for profit orientation, they're here for fulfillment. They're here for happiness.
So organizations, there's smaller ones, which we'll get to in a second. There's larger ones with bigger teams. What about resistance? So you mentioned that black belt program, for example, right? Let's say CEO brings you guys in to help implement that, right? And there's someone in the organization, maybe half the organization even, that for whatever reason, ego, fear, there's a resistance. How, in helping them integrate that, how do you help people overcome resistance?
One of the things, that I do is I don't go in with any woo-woo. I go in with reality. Where are we really at? What's the state of where are we really at? And I like to go in with reality. Let me give you an example of one of the practices and processes that we do to build affinity. Okay, really simple. We sit together, doesn't matter what size of the company. It could be just you and your wife or your partner and business partner. It could be 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 1,000, doesn't matter. The state of the affinity is important. So real simple practice, practical, I'll share with you and everyone listening, is we ask each other, let's say you and I are sitting down in a room together and we say, okay, let's really dial up our human dynamics with each other as fellow teammates, fellow colleagues, partners. I will say a way that you can raise my significance and reputation is, in this case, Yaakov, is as you're doing now, you're sharing my experience with your circle of influence. It's a way you're raising, and you can help my influence and my significance in the world, my reputation. A way that you could lower my significance and reputation is we just have a chat here, the video goes blank and you do nothing with it, and you go snore and then you say whatever, okay? So there's an example. Now, what would you do with me, Satyan? What's a way you can raise my significance and reputation? So share from your being and let me know.
Well, just sharing this show, sharing it with your sphere of influence, sharing the message.
And it'll be a joy to do so. And what's a way I could lower your reputation and significance?
Not sharing the show or walking off in the middle of the interview.
Okay. All right. So you see, we've just given each other a direct way that I and you and we both can raise each other's significance and impact and value. And we've also shared directly where we can lower it. Now imagine that in a marketing team where, for example, when there's so many people involved, let's say in an organization or 5 or 10, what we're doing is unconsciously, our ego is always attempting to raise our own significance, our own reputation, sometimes at the cost of integrity, sometimes at the cost of others in our team. Sometimes it's an egoic, it's just me. I don't care where you're at. I'm going to the next promotion. I'm getting up. I'm going to achieve the goals. I don't care where you guys land. If you get fired, you get fired, whatever, right? Now, imagine that underneath us all, and you feel that, you're all around that, and everyone's just going for their own significance and reputation. What happens on an energetic level, on a success level, on a vibrational level, on a metaphysical level, that desire for deeper significance and reputation, wanting more of it, it backlashes. It creates a counterbalancing force where in our drive for more significance and reputation, we shoot ourselves in the foot. We've seen this happen many times in the great leaders and some big leaders in organizations. We've seen this with, with Hollywood managers and leaders and things like this. They're driving up, but they don't care, and to the expense of others. Now, could you imagine if we actually cared and we got an instruction manual from each one of our fellow teammates on how to raise their significance? Because the converse is true. As I aim to raise yours and you aim to raise mine, a beautiful team synergy starts to build. Now it's not egoic, it's all for one for all. I'm looking for ways, now that you've educated me, to avoid what lowers your significance and reputation. So pragmatically, let's say I've got roles to do and then one of my teammates is constantly late with a deliverable that I need to finish to present to the CEO, and it's constant. The CEO might look at me and go, my goodness, dude, you're not what's going on here? And the heat comes on to me because someone else didn't complete their job or on time and with impeccability. So if I share with them, hey, listen, my fellow teammate, a way you can raise my significance and reputation is being on time with your deliverables. And if there's any delay, let me know. That way I can let the pipeline know that I'm going to be 2 days behind because I'm still waiting for some information from my other teammates. A way you lower my reputation is don't tell me. You simply don't tell me, and then I have to knock on your door 100 times to find out what's going on, and then my reputation is being marred and people trust me less. So just this direct sharing with reality, with truth, with heart, all of a sudden, the tensions in the organization, you go from all this inner egoic strain to all of a sudden a company liberated where everyone is working to raise each other up. So there's a simple example. You can do that you can do that in your family. You can do that in your business, regardless of what size.
Yeah, and it comes down to people feeling seen, heard, understood. That's a really, really big thing that leads to happier people, higher energy as well. I could see where it leads to an organization expanding, being able to grow more effortlessly. I want to segue into something really interesting because we're talking about culture, right? I want to talk about marketing, sales, money, customer journeys, right? Because I think a lot of people listening are smaller business owners, probably have teams of less than 5, maybe even solopreneurs starting businesses. I think the human dynamics piece for marketing and sales, it's talked about very rarely, if at all, which is really interesting because that's really what it is, right? Strategy is talked about, funnels are talked about, but the human dynamics, man, what an opportunity.
Here's what I've discovered in this dimension. Okay, small company, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever size. Let's say we're talking about a small company. Your transmission is your marketing. Your vibrational output is your most potent marketing. In a sea of distraction, in a sea of glitz, in a sea of flashing words passing by, short clips, this and this, the ones that have sustained growth and success are ones that capture you through their presence that's penetrating all the noise that's out there in the marketing dimension. So, to the degree that you take time to harmonize within yourself, to bring yourself into a soul, mind, intention unity, that is felt far deeper and profoundly through the airwaves, through the marketing waves, through our writing. And that depth of being, that's what influences and generates our marketing copy, our video productions, all forms of our marketing expression in the world. I found that when we source it in the true source of who we are, our words, our energy is what makes us stand out and makes us unique. All the great masters in marketing have said, what is your unique selling proposition? Well, first of all, you're the only unique you. Why is there, there's thousands of barbers in the city here, right? Thousands of barbers, right? The ones that get the reputation are the ones you want to be around, the ones that connect with you, the ones that have an ability to build affinity with you, the ones that there's something, a spark that cannot be lit up by marketing. You, we all have that spark. It's whether it's lit or not. And sometimes we think all these other things will bring us the success we want when we miss awakening the spark of being. And so I believe that's the source of the most potent, enduring, and lasting marketing that makes you feel, makes others go, I need to know that person. I need to know, what are they selling? What are they offering? Because there's something about them that's attracting me. It's not cognitive. It's not at a rational level. It'll be more at a gut level of being.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It's almost like the 80-20, even deeper, right? It's like you can do all the funnels, the copy, all the word tricks, NLP, but it's like the beingness is the most attractive thing. I know a lot of people listening are logical thinkers, right? So they hear that, they say, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. How do I practically do that? Like, what if I've been in my business for 10 years? What if we have let's say it's a law firm, they have a, typical, like, what kind of law firms? They help with IP law. Let's just say.
Yeah, something in a very mental, very technical realm, of which I have scientists that I've mentored. I mentored, top lawyers, international lawyers. I've mentored some of the most brilliant physicists, most brilliant intellectual minds of our era, in fact. All right? We all have a soul. We all have a soul. We all have a heart. We all have a being. And so let me give you an example of what I'll do with a lawyer. I'll sit down with them, or someone very intellectual, or a scientist who's got a great invention that's going to make breakthroughs for the planet in air, water, and soil, as an example. And I'll sit with them. First of all, I go, what's your soul's calling? What are you really here for? What moves you? They're like, huh? Well, I want to do this. And then I'll go, what's not your soul's calling? What are you not here for? I say, well, I'm not here to do this and this and this. Okay. Then I'll ask them again, what's your deeper soul calling? They'll go, Then they'll go to another layer of investigating, inquiring, what could that be? Well, I'm here to do, there's more than just the IP law. I want to have my people, my clients feel that they're protected, that they're safe, that the genius that they're bringing out or that they've created is not going to be stolen by others. Okay. What's not your soul's calling? Just to bill them, get the work done, do the paperwork and send them home. What's your soul's calling? And I'll keep going, both back and forth between the opposites as one example until they hit the core of, this is why the core of my heart, soul reason to do what I'm doing. And when that switch is on, they've also cleared away what they're not here for. And they're cognizant, they're conscious of that. So they get to release it rather having those contagions in their subconscious mind affecting them. They're released. And when we go to that core, then the lawyer, the scientist, the high level intellectual is emanating from a state of being which now harmonizes their intellect and transmits their being through the power of their intellect, power of their clarity, the power of their savvy, which they've probably developed over decades. And so there is no wrong or right in it. It's always coming back to the center of being.
Yeah, so it unlocks that. So they're clearing away, the egoic stuff, the stuff that's more like, because that's not really things that are practical. It's more of just like blocks and like little, it's petty stuff. Oh yeah, I'll build this. No, it's like, what's the real reason, right? So you're saying getting to the root of it unlocks that magnetism, if you will.
Absolutely. It unlocks the magnetism. And then again, it's a bright light stands out more than a dim light. And the brighter your light is, it stands out. And the light shows up as, guess what? Presence. Those who are the most present in the room are the ones that get the higher deals. The ones who are most present get the deeper, loving relationships. The ones that are most present and here, not distracted by all the subconscious layers of the mind, they're the ones that are most trustable in man-to-man relationship and more attractive in man-to-woman relationship. Because presence is you being fully here without the weight of the interference patterns of the subconscious mind. And that's where genuine contact, connection. And then pragmatically, what happens is your ability to serve your clients, because you're present with them, you're not just scanning their stuff. You're attuning to who they are. They feel it. They may not even know what's going on a rational level, but they feel your deep presence, which shows up as care. It shows up as intentionality. It shows up as sharp clarity to meet the moment. So what I'm talking about is the most pragmatic thing you can think of, which sometimes is the thing that's missed the most.
Yeah, because it sounds simple on the surface, like, oh, be more present. But that's not the understatement. I mean, sometimes the simplest things, by the way, are the wisest things, right? So
there's different degrees of presence, different degrees and depths of presence, and there's no arrival, right? I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt, so I'm an intermediate in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a Kung Fu master with 45 years in that realm. Every time I'm moving up the ladder in Jiu-Jitsu, I'm more relaxed. I'm using way less energy. I'm sometimes I'm even not barely even looking. I'm attuning. But at the beginning, when I started out, my eyes, this tense tight and overexerting, and that's how everyone starts. Then you slowly move up the ladder of more presence as you cultivate more skill set, as you relax more, as you start to becoming more enjoying and you calm down your nerves and that ferocity, and it becomes more skillful and artful. It's the same as us entrepreneurs, same as us leaders. And if you want to go from this level and you want to go 10x, and then if you want to go beyond that, wherever you are in your desire, your wish to scale and potentialize your business, This is essential moving forward because this is the quality, what I'm talking about, this, if you will, executive presence. That is the unnameable that I've just named that propels the top entrepreneurs. You look at who we see as world star entrepreneurs, they have a very powerful, grounded presence. Elon Musk, creator of multiple billion-dollar companies which have positive impact. There's one example of someone who cultivated deep presence, whether he knows it or not. Steve Jobs took the time, created the most powerful company, most valuable, one of the most valuable companies still, if not on the planet, Apple. His discipline was to meditate, and he was a deep aspirant that a lot of people don't know about this. He was a deep spiritual aspirant. In his later days, when he realized his ego going any further is not going to take his company further, it had to go deeper into within himself, all the things that I'm sharing about today. And it propelled it to where it's at today. He would read Autobiography of a Yogi, a very famous book by Swami Yogananda, which shares about these principles of inner awakening, which he aimed to apply in his life. It's not that we achieve any greatness in that, it's that we even start the path. And we continue on this path of the warrior sage that brings us, just the dedication to that alone deepens our magnetism and our true presence.
It's a great example too, with like Steve Jobs and him being able to have that almost awakening.
If you're looking for more clarity right now, whether that's in your business, career, relationships, or any other area of your life, I've recorded a short training you can use to find more clarity, spiritual genius style. This training is my gift to you for being a listener of the show. To access it, all you have to do is go to spiritualgenius.org/gift. Once again, that's spiritualgenius.org/gift. Now back to the show.
I feel like a lot more entrepreneurs we'll use the word awakened, right? These days than maybe 10, 20 years ago. I mean, you've been around, you've kind of seen, I think it's becoming more normalized, right? It's becoming more part of the business world. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's becoming more obvious that mindset, right? Inner mindset is what generates success. It's becoming more and more obvious. And to go to the next degree, coming from the awakened soul, is the next generation of entrepreneurship. So first we worked on mastering our business capacity acumen. It's gotten the world we have. Then the entrepreneurs who took the leap and says, my mindset. So the greats out there, all the great human potential leaders, from Tony Robbins to all the greats in there who have shown us great books, teachings, to develop this inner mindset of mastery of our emotional state and our emotional well-being. And our inner congruence creates that outer congruence. They've done an incredible job in laying the foundation of mindset. But that's still, there's more. There's a deeper level. And that's the self-realization path, the path of awakening to our full nature and being the full expression of that. And we're seeing this more and more. It's coming out of the closet. It's coming out of the closet. And it's recognizing, I mean, all the entrepreneurs I lead, some of them lead, $100 million companies, billionaire, billion-dollar companies. Some of them are smaller companies from 1 to 5 million. So wherever they are on their path, what's very interesting is that it is now becoming so understood, like that I need to work on my body, I need to work on my mindset, I need to work on my relations, and I need to work on my soul's calling. And to get to that level, and in my body of work, those entrepreneurs are like, okay, I want to hit this, and I don't want to take weeks, months, years, because entrepreneurs, the nature of us, we don't like slow growth. We want it now. I'm the same still. I want to have, by our nature as creators, we want to have that results orientation, which is what makes us incredible beneficiaries of the planet and benefiters of the planet. And if we don't awaken that soul, we turn destructive. We can rape the world with our products and services and not caring, and we will pay the price. But those who have shifted, some of the great entrepreneurs, and I can't mention their names, some I've mentored directly, have gone to me, and have gone for deep medicine journeys with plant medicine journeys, Mother Ayahuasca, different medicine journeys to come to the seat of their soul. They're venturing into these realms more and more and more. And I think in 10 years, it'll be the norm. And if you're not, you'll be considered way behind. You look at Google, you look at some of the top brand name companies, what they're looking for is in the resume. Did you go to Burning Man? Have you done inner plant medicine work? And you think like, why are they asking me these type of things and these top positions? Because they know those who are dedicated and are doing the inner work are the ones that are going to be creating profound success that's enduring and lasting, because they know the inner world and the outer world, there is no difference.
It's kind of like it's unfair advantage, right? It's like there's people who go through the journey, who choose to walk the path. And I feel like everyone has, being in entrepreneurship, there is at least a curiosity, anyone I meet anyway, about spirituality, awakening, cultivating more presence. That curiosity is very prevalent. The only exception is when people are so in the weeds or so stressed out by the grind of their business that they're in more of a reactive mode. That's where this awareness goes away. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll worry about that some other time, but let me do this thing. And sometimes you have to hunker down. But I feel like the integration of what you're talking about isn't just doing like some plant medicine journey one weekend and saying, oh yeah, I got it. It's this lifelong journey, which is actually, as cliche as it sounds, the best part.
It's so easy to get dug in the mud. It's so easy to get into the weeds. It's so easy to be stressed and overwhelmed with struggle. But if you're smart enough and you're sick and tired of that grind, that's grinding and producing not the results you want, if in a moment of sobriety, you're willing to have the humility, not every entrepreneur is willing to have the humility to say, could there be something inside of me? Could there be interference patterns, ceilings? I had one of my CEOs that I've been mentoring for years. He had a very powerful software that basically predicts when things are going to break down way in advance, all machinery way in advance. And his company was like, he couldn't take it off for 10 years, more than 11 years, so dedicated to bringing it out into the market. Struggle, month after month, more raises, but no one's buying it. Just his tenacity was powerful. He came and he started working with me, and he came into our circle, because to me, it's not only one-on-one work. When you're around and with a circle of potent entrepreneurs who are also arising together, then you're not alone. You're in a camaraderie that you're able to show each other and help each other through the shadows, as well as bring your gifts and your light to others. So he came into this circle with my group, and through the work, he realized, my goodness, I've been keeping a ceiling because I didn't want to get rich. I thought I did. I thought I want to be damn successful, but unconsciously, my friends where I grew up back in the old town, they're none of them are rich. And I didn't want to feel like, oh, I am the rich guy amongst all of you, and have their critique, have their judgment, have them feel, oh, look at that rich man over there. He's not our friend anymore. Because he had such love and care to be in his friendship circle, he allowed that unconscious limitation to put a hamper on his exploding into the next stage. Anyways, we did the work on that, transformed that need to fit in and the fear that he'd be criticized or abandoned by his childhood friends. And when that happened, all of a sudden, within literally, it was less than a year, the company started booming. He got on stages expressing the software that he had. He won all types of awards for the breakthrough in technology, and it's an Internet of Things technology, IoT technology. And what happened was he had a wonderful exit of $30 million plus. And so there's an example of doing the inner work, finding the subconscious patterns that are holding us back and they're keeping us revolving in the grind of life without breaking through. If that's you, you need to look in. And if not, you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to lose everything you've got. And that's the sober slap and pinch I want to give all the the family here who are listening.
Yeah, you know, it's looking inward. It's like, I've been in the entrepreneur space for a while, and there's so much about strategy, tactics, buy the shining thing. There's this way of marketing. There's this way. You say these 5 magic words and people throw money at you. There's all sorts of like stuff. But what you're talking about it's the thing, right? It's like all my biggest breakthroughs have come after an inner realization. And I'm sure the same, I would imagine, has been true for your journey as well in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, brother. I've had so many obstacles. I've made millions. I've lost millions. I've rose to the ascent of international acclaim years ago. And then, you know, I years ago, you know, at a very our company, WarriorSage Trainings, we were an academy. We were international 25 years ago, well known, giving, you know, tens of thousands of students per year. And at one of the retreats I was giving, what had happened was I was in my ego. I was at the top of my game. I was like flying around the world with the jet set lifestyle, with fame and fortune, and people going, wow, look at him and all of that, right? Which is great, feeding my young ego, right? Great, feeding my young ego. And then what happened was I went swimming in the Hawaiian Ocean at one of our retreats in Hawaii. I almost drowned. I was challenging the other man. Let's see how far we go. I risked my life, but I risked the lives of my teammates, and I risked the lives of my participants by going way beyond the edge and doing something so risky, and I almost drowned. It's a miracle how I survived. It's truly a miracle. Where this almost drowning happened is where no one survives if they go there. There's a whirlpool area that no one comes out of. By a miracle, I survived. And I was spit out by the ocean onto the land, and I didn't even know how it happened. I was at the end of trying to struggle for, I don't know how long to even keep my breath. When I got pushed out of the ocean, something changed in me. I got hit with sobriety. I got hit with humility. And I got hit hard. And I went, and I saw my wife's face. I saw my other teammates who went to try to rescue me. I risked their life, and I went, what an asshole I was, not even knowing it. In my ego, trying to push my other people's ego rather than going deeper and evoking a depth of them through this, as you said, macho challenge. And I'll tell you something, that sobriety made me redefine everything I did totally. I scaled down my company, not up, totally. And then I started mentoring CEOs in a much more private way in my private circle, in my mastermind. And so that, you know, one of my Kung Fu teachers told me years ago, Satyan, it's better to be humble all the time than to be humiliated all at once. And so that's my story. And if we can avoid other people going to that edge of life and death, that's part of my mission, is to enlighten, and to unify, and to mobilize all of us for a higher purpose and a higher good. And to do that, it's a must to do the inner work. Then, obviously from there, do the strategy, do the marketing, do the execution, do it impeccably, but from the truth that you are, rather than the falseness or the ego you're trying to portray.
Man, what a story, and what a metaphor too, of going into the water and going deep because of some egoic urge or whatever it was, and then coming out of the water a different person, having a revelation. That's powerful. So I wanted to ask you about, as we start to wrap up, something that I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs listening especially, are secretly interested in. And this idea, you mentioned fame, right? And I believe there's certain types of entrepreneurs that are very clear. They want to be behind the scenes. They don't want to be seen. And that others secretly want to be in front of millions of people, in front of like really big stages. They want the acclaim, the recognition. You've experienced a lot of that. Being at your current vantage point, what's your outlook on this idea of fame, especially as an entrepreneur?
If it's for yourself, it'll end up self-destructing yourself. With the celebrities I've worked with over the years, and top business leaders of all types. When it's unsatiable and it's there to fill a hollowness, so they didn't get enough love, they didn't get enough recognition of who they were as a youngster from their family, from their parents. They didn't get the, hey, you're awesome just the way you are. Or there was a sense of you're not good enough, you'll never make the grade on some even energy or emotional level in the household. This can start to warp our true self and create a false identity that is seeking this acclaim. So outside of ourselves, we're getting fed, we're aiming to get fed by the acclaim, the fame and such like that. And eventually, and it can drive us and it can get us far, but it'll end up self-destructing. But when that desire for expansion, the calling in you is to be more prominent in the world, and it's for others, it's not on the path of service for the self, but it's in the path of the service for others, then something purifies. It becomes divine. We tap into a universal force that's sacred. Now we become called, you look at Martin Luther King's, you look at Gandhi's, you look at, the great leaders in the world who have relinquished and said, okay, I'm not just going to be on international stage and express for my own gratification. It's for a greater good. It's if I'm needed there, I'll be there. And so this is our journey. There's no arrival. It's our journey. And it's a continuous journey as we move up that ladder. And the ladder is inward, not upward. And the more we go inward, the more we ascend to the throne of our natural state and to what we're really fully expressed in the world, which will not only be a financial success, it'll be a soul fulfillment. And that is, there's no dollars that can give you that, no fame that can give you that, no acclaim that can give you that. When you rest and you go to bed at night and you feel, I have done what I need to do to die complete without regret.
That is beautifully said. We need a moment after that to people to just take it all in. Powerful, powerful words. So Satyan, thank you so much for being here. This has been covered a lot of ground. It's been both practical, deep. This is one of those, if you're listening to this is one of those to listen to a couple of times at least to really soak it in. And it's one of those podcast episodes, just like hearing Satyan share some of this. I guarantee if you listen to this 6 months from now, you'll hear something different. You'll hear a level of nuance, a nugget. It'll be a little bit different every time. So Satyan, as we wrap up, where can people go if they want to connect with you online and learn more about what you're up to?
You could find us on my website, WarriorSage.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Please feel free to reach out and connect. It'd be a joy to meet with you.
Awesome. We'll put that in our show notes. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, my friend. An honor.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Spiritual Genius Show. Remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. When you email a screenshot of your review to info@spiritualgenius.org, we'll send you access to a special training on unlocking more of your spiritual genius in your business or career. Once again, the email address to send that screenshot of your review to is info@spiritualgenius.org. And remember, as always, the content of this episode and every other episode of this show are for entertainment purposes only. No solicitations are being made of the audience, and this show is not in any way intended to provide or be a substitute for any medical, legal, or financial advice. It is strongly recommended that you consult with a licensed professional before making any and all decisions around these matters. Till next time, stay well and remember that your spiritual genius awaits.